For attending us. It was a wonderful workshop that I have just attended.
Oh, cool.
Great.
Thank you.
It's great. Well, how's the tour in Brazil?
The tour is fantastic. Let's see. I mean, I've done clinics for a long time. At the beginning, I was doing clinics with Ibanez, and that was around 1987. So it's been many decades that I've been doing. And the challenge is that, you know, I want to put on a show, I want to entertain, but also I really want to teach people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the things that I think like, oh, I really need this, maybe it's not the most exciting thing to play on stage. So I try to balance it, you know, a little bit of it's almost like medicine.
A little bit of
here's a little bit of medicine, it doesn't taste so good, but you need this. And then here's some of the, you know, the sweet, here's some of the candy.
That's great. And then have you been many places already?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's so much traveling that my brain is sort of like, oh. But that's part of the life. That's part of being a touring musician.
All right, fantastic. You've been to Brazil quite a few times already, don't you?
Yeah, well, I'll never forget the first time because that was a huge concert in Santos with Mr. Big.
I remember
the outdoor festival. And that was actually the biggest show I've ever played in my life.
Oh, really?
Most people. And it was really fun. I had such a good time at that show.
Mm-hmm. It was early 90s, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's great. And coming to Brazil, have you met other Brazilians who play Brazilian music? Have you been inspired or influenced a little bit by Brazilian music?
Well, every night I'm jamming with 3 Brazilian guitar players. That's great.
Yeah, that's true.
But of course we're playing more, you know, rock and blues style. My wife actually really loves Brazilian jazz, and so I hear it because she's got it on. I like, to me it's very sophisticated, because I come from a rock background, and you know, I remember when I first went to school, all I knew was like the root and the fifth. I didn't even know the third, and you know, finally I learned like, you know, chords that have sevenths in them, and you know, jazz or Brazilian jazz will have a ninth in it, you know, and so those sounds are very new to my ear and new to my playing, but I'm really starting to love them. So it's sort of an education for me to hear such sophisticated music.
And you try to, on your albums, you experiment with different elements. Have you thought about experimenting with some elements of Brazilian music, maybe with this sophisticated part of the Brazilian music, or elements like percussion or etc.? Have you ever thought about it? Or?
Well, I don't know if I'm good enough. I think I'll attach this to something else, which is I think one of the best things about myself as a guitar player is that I usually play things that are easy for me to play. So, you know, that way when I perform it, I can have a good time, I can close my eyes, I can, you know, stomp my foot, and so when I take new things, I take them very slowly, because I really want to be very comfortable with it. And so most of the things I learn, I kind of attach to what I already know. And so it means that my learning is very slow. When I get something, I really get it. So it's going to be a while, because that's, like I said, that's more advanced harmonically than my playing.
Yeah, but when you get it very confidently and very deeply, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. The first 2 years that I played guitar, I only played the 6th string, and I only used one finger, and I only strummed up for 2 years. I didn't know a chord, I didn't use the other fingers, I didn't strum down. So I got really good at upstrokes and really good at one string.
This kind of, I understand, but this kind of surprises me because very early you were already a teacher at the Musicians Institute, right?
Yeah, well, when I was 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was like when I was 9. So,
yeah.
But having so much control of one string and feeling so confident with it, when I did the next string, it's like, it feels pretty much the same. Yeah. So it, after that first 2 years, my growth was very fast.
Right. Maybe you had already developed precision, you're very precise, you're very clean when you're playing, even with distorted sound. Maybe that
and really
thing of taking it very seriously or
and at the same time,
carefully.
I developed my ear. Because if I played something that I wasn't so confident with, my ear heard it and went like, oh, I don't like the sound, I'll wait. So I think that's one of the best things I ever did was if I don't like the sound of it, I just save it for later.
Right, you will work on that later.
Yeah.
Are you a perfectionist?
And a lot of times I do. I will come back to it later, but when it feels good.
Right, but are you a perfectionist or not?
I think, am I a perfectionist? Yeah, sure. But at the same time, sometimes the music I play has rough edges to it. If you play a blues song, you want it to be kind of loose.
Yes.
But you want it to feel perfect. So sometimes the perfect thing, if I'm doing, something with a lot of, the sort of loose, it's different than like, some people might say, oh, that's perfect. It's just one note, nothing else. So there's different ideas of what perfect is.
Right. Yeah. In that kind of blues we're playing, there has to be some dirt.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I want perfect dirt.
Yes. Exactly. You said recently that you wanted to make your guitar sing, like your favorite singers, like Paul McCartney, Steven Tyler, Elton John. Yeah. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Oh, well, really that was one of my original goals as a guitar player before I ever played. When I was 8 years old, I had so many melodies in my head, and I thought, how do I play them? And I forgot about that goal. Because I started learning scales and arpeggios and chords, and so, 30 years went by, and finally I'm starting to remember my original goal. And
it made a lot of sense, even though it was a goal in when you were very young. So
playing like a singer, I've been doing it a lot, just as practicing. And actually, my new album, I did a lot of vocal songs where I played the vocal and guitar. And for a long time, I didn't want to do that because, elevator music. Where it's like, they'll take a Beatles song or yesterday, and then it'll be a flute or something.
Yes.
And it's terrible.
Yeah.
And I just always thought like, oh, if an instrument plays a vocal melody, it's never going to be as good. And I just gave up on it. But then recently I thought, maybe it can be good. But you have to work on it because a vocalist has so many nuances.
Textures, yes.
And so lately I've really been getting into those nuances, and it's so challenging because it's like a whole different language on guitar. And one of the most challenging things is it's like if you have two notes, you've got G and E, and most people if they play it, okay, I did it. It's like that's not a way a vocalist sings.
Yeah.
A vocalist, they slide, and I don't have a slide. So do I do a pre-bend, or do I do that with some sustain? Also, a vocalist has so much control of the volume. They might go, and get loud at the end. How do I do that? So even something that's simple like two notes can be the most challenging thing. But it sounds so good, and so I've gotten so many good licks from it. Even like Steven Tyler in the song "Back in the Saddle" does yodels, like going out tonight, by the light of the moon, those sort of things. So a lot of the Van Halen techniques actually sound great for vocals.
Right.
And it's all these little sliding things, and it's just the way they phrase. It's just so good.
Yeah, that's interesting, and it reminds me of something. I was interviewing Joe Satriani a few years ago,
Yeah.
and he said, "Well, when I'm songwriting, when I'm writing something or a solo, I think that if I cannot sing that solo, it's probably not a good solo. I
Yeah.
want that solo to sound like somebody singing."
Yeah.
That.
And
In a way, it's similar to what you're saying,
Yeah.
because all the textures and nuances have to be there, right, for the expression, I believe.
well, I love that sound. I mean, I think before that, I really wanted to play guitar like a harpsichord. You know, I was excited about, you know, those kind of things.
I remember those from one of your instructional videos.
Yeah. And so that's more like a harpsichord would play, where the notes are the same volume. It's not vibrato, and it's very 16th notes. There's not a lot of space, and I like that sound too. But I think when I play like a vocalist, I can just add more expression. And that feels so good. It's just a nice feeling.
Yeah. And are those artists, Paul McCartney, Steven Tyler, Elton John, still your the vocalists that you like best?
Well, those are the ones I grew up with. You know, I mean, anybody, whatever your age is, you grew up with the music that's on the radio at that time. So yeah, I mean, I listen to the Beatles so much. I love the Beatles vocals. I love Katie Lang. She's one of my favorite singers. And it's interesting because when I've chosen songs to cover as a singer, I have to think about the limitations of my voice. Because I can't sing like Ronnie James Dio, or I can't sing like Steven Tyler, so I would never try to cover one of those songs, or if I did, I would sing it an octave lower. But with guitar,
You don't have
I have all the range I need. So it's a different kind of challenge, because instead of trying to hit the high note, I'm trying to get the expression.
Right. You mentioned guitar. You're using a 22 fret guitar, right? Do you prefer those over 24 fret?
I do, for no other reason than it's not as confusing. If I see, you know, all these frets, like, you know, my brain gets confused. Like, where's B? And really, for my ears, I don't need anything higher than that. That's high enough. I think the best tone of the guitar is, you know, kind of in this area. That's the most kind of, for solos. You know, even that, most singers never sing a note that high. You know, from learning vocalists, you know, Hendrix, you could play all the Hendrix vocals on the D string.
Well, about Mr. Big that you're getting together, you have some news you can tell us?
Well, basically, you know it already. We're going to get together, we're going to do a record and a tour.
Yeah.
And when I get back, we're going to start working on it.
Yeah, I believe you know that Eric Martin has been here. He was here a month ago, right? Cool. With Jeff Scott Soto. They were touring together in the country.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I went to see them. It's good. And in August, you will join G4, right? With Satriani, Mike Neely,
Andy
Timmons, yeah. And you had the experience of G3 already?
Well, G3 was a concert tour, where G4 is a guitar camp. So it's basically just a week where people come and they can stay for the whole week, and we get to hang out with everybody. And we have much more time to spend with them. So we can jam, we can talk, we can have lunch. So it's you know, you get much closer than, you know. I mean, I love gigs, obviously. I love to play live. But this is more like a camp where we're going to, you know, give seminars and perform as well.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be. Have you done something similar? A similar experience?
I did a couple camps of my own called the Great Guitar Escape, and I did those in New York last year and the year before, and those were fantastic. I invited some really good people. I had Andy Timmons, Guthrie Govan, Tony McAlpine. I had a jazz player named Mimi Fox, who's incredible, and it was really fun. You know, just again to be completely immersed in guitar for a week and just have you sort of forget about the rest of the world. It was nice.
Yeah, but that's wonderful. can be really 100% of the time focused on guitar or on something that you love.
And just to hang out with the other people who are into that too. Sometimes, you know, you go home and your wife says, "You're not going to play guitar at home."
Yes, and this is great, yeah. On the new album, your new album is called Stone Pushing Uphill Man, right? Did you imagine something? Why did you choose this title?
Oh, I think it sort of came to me because there's a famous Greek myth about I don't think it's about a Greek god. I think it's about a Greek man named Sisyphus, and he I forget why, you know, for some reason he does something bad and the gods want to punish him. So they tell him, like, you have to push this stone up a mountain, and whenever you get it up there, it's going to fall back down. You just got to do it again. And I think sometimes with guitar, you know, like with heavy metal, I you know, worked with my heavy metal technique and got it up to the top of the mountain, and then I realized, like, you know, I got here, but there's other things I want to do. And so in a way it feels like the stone rolled back down and I have to start over again. But to me it's not a punishment. To me it's I love it.
More motivation.
Yeah, so it's sort of a, and even there's a philosopher who wrote a book using that idea that the man who's pushing the stone is actually very happy. And that's his passion, that's what he loves to do. So that's the concept.
Wow, that's wonderful. A nice concept. Well, Paul, thank you very much for talking to us.
Oh, you're welcome.
This is Território da Música. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Fantastic, thanks for talking to me.
Wonderful meeting you.